You're listening to Packers Talk Network.
You're listening to No Huddle Radio on the Packers Talk Radio Network, your home for in-depth and thoughtful Packers analysis. I'm your host, Gil Martin. My co-host is my good friend, Sean Tehan. In addition to this show, I write for the PackersPost.com and Cheesehead TV. Sean was a TV sportscaster in Minnesota. We're here to talk Packers because you're all here for one thing, and that's a love for Green Bay football. It's here, Sean. It's here.
I can't believe it. It felt like yesterday where we were just starting the offseason. Now we're just a few days away from the Packers opening their season, and they're opening in the comforts of Lambeau Field. First time they're opening a season in the Matt LaFleur era. And in case you want to get some last-minute tickets, Wisconsin's own Ticket King, they're your guys. They sponsor our show for over 30 years. Ticket King has been providing Packers tickets to Packer fans as well as Bucks, Brewers, and Summerfest tickets. You can find them on the web at theticketking.com, theticketking.com, or you can visit their locations in Green Bay and Milwaukee. Support your local Wisconsin businesses, and you can watch every episode of No Huddle Radio on Packers Talk Network on YouTube with Gil and myself. Click on the bell, turn the notifications on. Join into the discussion, chat with us live. Love to see you and talk about the comments coming our way, and we got a lot to talk about, Gil, obviously, this week. A team that the Packers have had a lot of trouble against over the last few years, minus Thanksgiving Day in 2023, and that's the Detroit Lions. The two-time defending NFC North champions have been a real thorn in Green Bay's side. Green Bay, obviously, they got the big acquisition of the offseason, maybe of the last few years in general, adding Micah Parsons to this team, but Parsons is reportedly dealing with a bit of a back issue, a facet sprain in his L4, L5 vertebrae. He reportedly may require an epidural injection prior to Sunday's game. Parsons has said he's trying to play on Sunday in the season opener. Remember, he didn't participate in training camp with the Cowboys while he was awaiting a new contract and holding out, but he passed the Packers physical after the trade. Gil, a back issue is never a good thing. How concerning is Parsons' back issue, especially where he hasn't had a training camp, and it seemed like everything checked the boxes when it came to the physical, right?
Yeah, he passed the physical, and it's a different kind of back injury. It is not a disc injury or something along those lines, and those are things that if you get them when you're 20, they're going to stay with you till you're 90. I mean, they never fully heal. They just get aggravated or they calm down for a little while. This isn't that. So I'll take that much away from it. But hopefully it's nothing serious and it's something that we won't have to deal with over the long haul. Look, my bigger concern right now for Micah Parsons is the fact that he did not contribute at all in training camp, did not play in preseason. He's not in football shape. So, and you also have another game coming up 4 days after this one as the Packers are playing Thursday night. You can't rush him. You can't throw him in there for 50, 60, 70 defensive plays. You got to pick your spots, let him go get after the quarterback for 15, 20 plays, however many snaps he's ready for, and let him learn the playbook and get back into football shape, because we're going to need them all year long.
Oh, for sure. And the Packers, hey, they're known to be a little bit overly cautious, and especially when it comes to guys who are really the most important players on the football team. Aaron Rodgers has multiple collarbone injuries. You sensed a lot of frustration back then when Rodgers was with the green and gold, that he wanted to be back sooner than the doctors were clearing him. But Dr. McKenzie, he's very well respected in Green Bay for a reason, because he said, hey, Aaron is just not ready. And I feel like Micah Parsons' back issue, I feel like the Packers, they would definitely raise some concerns with Micah Parsons' back if with the trade and everything like that. They could have failed the physical. Obviously, they wanted the player, but they could have failed he could have failed the physical. He didn't. He's also he could be totally out of practice this week. He hasn't been. He's been limited all week.
Right.
It does sound like, too, where these reports coming out that, and I'm not a doctor or anything like that, but it sounds like an epidural injection, hearing from former players where this is pretty common. It's just, this is very newsworthy right now, given the fact that Parsons was holding out from camp, and then the big trade happens a week ago, Gil. And it just seems like it's more of a story than it typically is, just given the situation, the gravity of the situation.
Yeah, I mean, look, if Micah Parsons sneezes right now, that's front page news in Green Bay. So let's face it, it has a lot more to do with the fact that he's Micah Parsons making his Packers debut than it is the fact that his back is in such bad shape.
Yeah, I got to think the back is a lot better than we think. And before we talk a little bit more about Micah Parsons and how much we think he will play in the season opener on Sunday, given the short week coming up and the Thursday game coming up next week, let's look at the Packers injury report real quick, Gil. A couple notables who didn't participate on Wednesday. Cornerback Nate Hobbs, wide receiver Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed dealing with that Jones fracture in his foot. Supposedly he's going to play through it. And Nate Hobbs had that knee surgery a few weeks ago in training camp. But good news, both those guys were limited participants in practice on Thursday. So very positive for their potential availability coming up on Sunday. Limited in addition to Parsons, Elton Jenkins is dealing with a hip issue. Dontavian Wicks, he's been nursing that calf injury, which kept him out of camp quite a bit. Savion Williams, the rookie wide receiver out of TCU, dealing with a hamstring issue, which gave him issues in camp as well. Barron Sorrell, fortunately, only a limited participant, fortunately, a limited participant for Barron Sorrell so far after he's practicing after what appeared to be a serious injury in that Packers' second preseason game back in August out in Indianapolis. So that's good news to see that Barron Sorrell is out there and practicing. And then also worth noting, Jordan Love, the quarterback of the Packers. He's been a full participant after having that left thumb surgery on his left thumb. Seems like he's going to be good to go for Sunday. Gil, anything worth noting regarding all these injuries for the Packers so far in practice right now?
Yeah, nothing stands out. I mean, to me, the big concern is Nate Hobbs going to be ready? Because, and we'll get to the matchups, obviously, a little bit later on in the show, but the depth at cornerback for the Packers is not tested. It is a big question mark. And if you don't have Nate Hobbs, you got to let one of those untested guys get a lot of playing time. So I'm hoping Hobbs is ready to go and able to play well on Sunday.
Bo Melton may be pressed into duty as an NFL corner sooner than we anticipate, Gil. And hey, I'm rooting for the guy, but I don't really want to see it in game one of his first year at full-time corner. So that's just me. You and I both are big. I feel like we're the presidents of the Bo Melton fan club. And I feel like the Packers would definitely, sponsor that fan club if we were to run one. But yeah, I don't want to see Bo Melton play right now as an NFL corner in meaningful action coming up. But with the quarterback situation, obviously kind of limited depending on the availability of Nate Hobbs. Micah Parsons getting his first meaningful football action all summer long since last year, really. How much should we expect Parsons to play in the season opener? Because I do think, Gil, he is going to be active, but he's definitely going to be on a snap count.
I don't think he should play more than 25 snaps. I'm thinking it's somewhere between 15 and 25 snaps. What I would do if I were the Packers is pace him early. And if the game is close in the fourth quarter, have 5, 7, 10 plays in reserve where he's ready to go. And if we need him to get after Goff, he can be in there more often. But I wouldn't want it more than, 20 plays, 25 tops.
I would say I'm with you where ease him in. You don't need him for one game. You need him for hopefully 17, 18, 19, hopefully all
20,
the way to the Super Bowl.
Dare we say 20 or 21?
Correct. Yeah. You need him for a lot more than just this one game and the Thursday game looming where I don't want to see him play a lot. I want to see him early on, Gil, maybe play just in clear-cut passing situations, passing down, passing in pass rush packages. That's where I want to see him. And then just kind of play it by ear. If I'm the Packers, play it by ear. And it just all takes is at halftime, Jeff Hafley asked him in the locker room, hey, Micah, how you feeling? If he's feeling good, throw him out there a little more. I know it's a risk, but
let me tell you something.
Have a plan. I got to trust the Packers have a plan, though.
I agree with you. The Packers have a plan, but you cannot just ask the player, how do you feel? Because the player is always going to say, I feel good. I want to get out there. And it may not always be in their best interest to do that, but they want to do it. So to me, you gotta sort of overrule him possibly, because he's going to say, put me in, coach. I'm ready. I want to get after Jared Goff. And, if he ends up injuring himself as a result, that's the worst case scenario.
Yeah, that for sure. And again, it's like, I'm going to the game next Thursday, Gil, in week 2. I selfishly want to see him play in week 2. So I'm hoping for a limited snap count. But if he shows that he can go right away, and you got to think Micah Parsons hasn't just been sitting on the couch eating Cheetos and watching TV while he's been holding out. He's been working out, but obviously it's much different being in good shape and being in football shape, because this is his first. He's had 1 week essentially of contact, of really getting after it on the football field this whole summer. So yeah, you got to be a little more cautious. Who knows? Hey, Khalil Mack, we didn't think years ago when he was acquired by the Bears that he would play so much against the Packers in that Sunday night football season opener. And he had maybe the game of his life in that game. And
yes,
he was definitely gassed by the end. But you never know. Like the great ones seem to overcome whatever limits we think they have.
Well, look, play it by ear is what they're going to do. I would err on the side of caution.
Same here, Gil.
I'll add one more thing. And I know you certainly from a personal standpoint want to see him on Thursday. It is more important to me to beat Detroit than it is to beat Washington on Thursday. If I had to choose, if he could only play in one, I'd rather let him play Sunday rather than Thursday.
But then I don't get to see him play.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
No, I'm with you. The division game always trumps everything else outside the division. So yes. I totally understand that. And hopefully we do see quite a bit of Micah Parsons on that Packers defense on Sunday. And they're going to have a test right away against the Detroit Lions offense, which is really good. They lost maybe the best offensive coordinator in football, Ben Johnson, who's now the head coach of the Chicago Bears. There's a lot of talent on the offensive side of the football for the Detroit Lions. A lot of talent on the defensive side of the football for the Green Bay Packers. Gil, give us one of your matchups to watch between the Lions offense and the Packers defense on Sunday.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them, but I'm going to start with getting pressure on the quarterback. And since we've been talking Micah Parsons, let's start there. Jared Goff is the kind of quarterback that really does not do well with pass rush. And if the Packers can get pressure on him, it changes the way he plays the game. I mean, that's true for most quarterbacks, but I think it's even more true for Jared Goff. So getting after, whether it's Parsons, Gary, Van Ness, Wyatt, get after the quarterback. Don't have to sack him necessarily, but make him uncomfortable.
Yeah, and I think Rashawn, last year, this Lions offensive line, and really it was the Lions, it was the Eagles, it was the Vikings. Those offensive lines dominated the Green Bay Packers last year. And the Lions, they allowed 2 sacks in 2 games to the Packers last year. One was because Penei Sewell got tripped up by his right guard, Kevin Zeitler, who's no longer there. And Aaron Mosby got a cheap sack at Lambeau Field in the rain last year. I was there for that. I saw it. And then another was Rashawn Gary, who actually just beat his guy. And he actually got a sack. Rashawn Gary was the biggest threat to Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions offensive line last year. Micah Parsons, even on a snap count, is going to make things a lot easier for Rashawn Gary. So this is a matchup to watch. And Micah Parsons is very critical in this game because Penei Sewell is a terrific offensive tackle. Taylor Decker is pretty damn good himself. But Micah Parsons has given Penei Sewell trouble in the past. And this could be really, really a good thing for the Packers. And guess what? The Lions having a first-year offensive coordinator, or not having Ben Johnson now, you never know in these week 1 games, Gil, where it could be very sloppy, and it could be a situation where the Packers kind of catch the Lions offense at the right time.
Yeah, and I'll add a little caveat to that, to what you said. I think the Packers have a big advantage because Jeff Hafley knows how to scheme things up, how to mix things up, how to be deceptive. If Micah Parsons plays for 15, 20 snaps, don't be surprised if he lines up in 3 or 4 different spots to try to take advantage of some mismatches. And, you mentioned Decker and Sewell, and they are excellent, but the interior of the Lions offensive line is untested. No more Frank Ragnow. Mm-hmm. Go out there, Maybe you line up Parsons in the middle. Maybe you use Edgerrin Cooper on some blitzes or Quay Walker. Obviously, Devontae Wyatt could have some opportunities in the middle. Take advantage of the matchups. I think I like the defensive coordinator, Jeff Hafley, against an untested offensive coordinator for Detroit.
And I'm going to stay with the O-line also with my matchup and the Packers rushing defense. The Lions offensive line for the Packers rushing defense. And Gil, you just talked about it. They got new starters on the interior. Yeah, they have Taylor Decker and Penei Sewell at left tackle and right tackle. Two very good tackles. But Frank Ragnow, obviously, surprise retirement this offseason. An all-pro caliber.
I was crushed.
Yeah, right. Yeah, totally. And you hope for his sake that health-wise he's getting out at the right time. And
yes,
it just sounded like it was a very hard decision, especially a guy at the top of his game like Frank Ragnow was. You have a starting right guard in Tate Ratledge, who's a rookie. It's a different look on the inside. And then obviously for the Packers on the interior, no Kenny Clark there for the first time in 10 years. That's a big change. Devontae Wyatt's going to take on a bigger role. Colby Wooden sounds like he's going to play a lot of nose tackle. We may see Nazir Stackhouse, Warren Brinson. We're going to see a lot more Carl Brooks too. How are the new guys essentially in the middle who are now the starting guys, the top guys at D tackle, going to take on a Lions interior O-line that's a lot different without Frank Ragnow there? That's an intriguing matchup.
It is, and the Lions like to pound the football. They have two very good running backs who have nice contrasting styles. This is going to be a test because if the Packers look, last year they did a very good job of stopping the run for the first time in how long was Joe Barry the defensive coordinator?
Too long.
Yeah. So in the first time in several years, the Packers were good at stopping the run, but without Kenny Clark and without TJ Slayton, I love Devontae Wyatt, but he's not known for his run stopping ability. And he may have to take a crash course in that very quickly this year. Got to be able to force Detroit into second and third and long situations. And if you're giving up 5-6 yards a carry, that's not going to happen.
You got to think that the Lions are definitely going to ground and pound most of this game on Sunday, mainly because of the loss of Kenny Clark. They're going to try to attack the Packers where they think they're weakest. And that on paper right now, that's probably their weak spot outside of corner, outside the depth at corner. But you got to hope that the addition of Micah Parsons and Rashawn Gary's a very good run defender DN, but you hope that those guys can help alleviate some of the potential rushing defense issues coming up. And Edgerrin Cooper obviously is a monster at linebacker against the run. Quay Walker has improved throughout his time in Green Bay too. Now, Gil, let's switch each side of the football for both teams. Packers offense versus the Lions defense. This Packers offense, it's been a bit of a struggle. It's been a bit sloppy the last few years against the Lions defense that doesn't have Aaron Glenn no longer as their coordinator. Aaron Glenn is out. He's the new head coach of the New York Jets. And Matt LaFleur, this is a fresh start for him essentially against finally a new face at D coordinator. Gil, I'm just going to go into it right away. The matchup I'm looking forward to on my end is Matt LaFleur against new Lions defensive coordinator Kelvin Shepard. Shepard's been with the Lions coaching staff since 2021. Now he's the head guy, the defensive coordinator. Matt LaFleur, the game they played on Thursday Night Football last year where they put 31 points on the Lions and made a really terrific game in Ford Field. The offense started to come alive there, but the game before, earlier that season, was a struggle, even though the Lions defense was super banged up and just super injured and everything, and they lost a lot of starters. But this is my matchup to look forward to is Matt LaFleur against Lions defensive coordinator Kelvin Shepard.
Yeah, and I think LaFleur has a lot of weapons at his disposal right now. Everybody is healthy. You've got Josh Jacobs. You've got Matthew Golden making his NFL debut. Tucker Kraft, Luke Musgrave. I'm telling you right now, Luke Musgrave will make at least one catch that makes a difference in this game. Having both him and Tucker Kraft healthy at the same time is really important, especially considering how banged up the Packers are at receiver.
You got to think that the Packers are going to be a lot more diverse when Musgrave and Kraft are on the field. We haven't seen it because their rookie years, Kraft seemed to be swimming a little bit. He didn't really get on the field. And Musgrave was the guy. And then you finally got to a little bit of both of them, but Musgrave got hurt then. And Musgrave was hurt most of last year. And Tucker Kraft kind of took the reins at tight end. So that could be a very critical factor, Gil, for sure. I got to think, though, Gil, a matchup that you're looking forward to, I'm assuming, is zeroing in on number 97 on Detroit's defensive line, because that's the guy that obviously everyone's going to be circling. And you got to think Matt LaFleur is making a point. This guy is not going to ruin the game for us on offense.
Yeah, containing Aiden Hutchinson is always difficult. And look, I'm not saying shut him down. I'm saying contain him. Think about this. Aiden Hutchinson led the Lions in sacks last year with 7.5, and he only played, 5 games?
5 games last year. Yeah, and that 5th game, he broke his leg during that game.
Yeah, so not even 5 full games, and he still led the team in sacks. Now, this is his first regular season game back after that injury.
Yep.
I don't know how much, whether he'll be 100%, how long it's going to take him to fully recover from something like that. But, if the old adage is it's 10 months roughly to recover from the knee injury, you're right about at that point. So we'll see. But, getting the offensive line, and Hutchinson is going to move around. Just like we said, Parsons will most likely be lining up in different places. It would not surprise me to see Hutchinson line up to try to take advantage of maybe Sean Ryan, maybe to take advantage of Aaron Banks, who is a better run blocker than he is a pass protector. And they've got to find a way to contain him. Chris Brooks may very well come in and play a big role at blocking Aiden Hutchinson, and we may also see Kraft and or Musgrave try to chip him.
And I put on the graphic, if you're watching with us on YouTube, thank you so much for tuning in today. But I put on there where Rasheed Walker, Aiden Hutchinson is kind of a matchup I'm looking forward to, because Rasheed Walker, this is a contract year for him. He said this week he is starting at left tackle, even though Jordan Morgan looked pretty darn good in the preseason. And Rasheed Walker, let's say if there's some one-on-one matchups and he is losing to Aiden Hutchinson and Aiden Hutchinson's disrupting the game the way that we know he could be a disruptor and a force on defense, you may see Jordan Morgan slide in at left tackle. But Rasheed Walker has a big game and shuts Aiden Hutchinson down. Whew. Oh, boy, that's going to help Rasheed Walker in contract negotiations, Gil.
No question about it. And he gets to do it twice this year, most likely. And this is the first big test.
And last year, remember, too, the Packers, they did not face Aiden Hutchinson. He had that nasty broken leg injury in Dallas in Game 5. They didn't see him they didn't see the Lions until a couple games after the Aiden Hutchinson injury. And despite that, this Lions team still went 15-2 in the regular season. Now, they were exposed then in the playoffs because their defense allowed 45 points, but it was a defense that lost, 6-7 starters to season-ending injuries. Just an insane amount. But there's a lot of depth on this team. But Aiden Hutchinson is the lead guy. And, yeah, we're talking all about Micah Parsons and everything like that. Obviously, Micah Parsons just signed that mega contract with the Packers. The guy who may become the highest paid defensive player of all time soon enough will probably be Aiden Hutchinson if he does have a big year coming up, and it could start on Sunday in Lambeau.
Yeah, it very well could, and he's the next big contract that we should expect. Going to be interesting to see how much cap space that he takes up for the Lions.
Yeah, he big-time player. And speaking of the Lions, let's just go over their injury report real quick. It's pretty bare in comparison to the Packers, but the Packers seem to over-report on injuries. I think they just don't want to deal with any potential issues with the league moving forward, so they just report everything possible. A couple DNPs in practice this week for the Lions. Backup linebacker Trevor Nowaski and backup running back Sione Vaki both have not been practicing this week. So nothing major with the Lions. Seems like they're going to have everyone pretty much ready to go for Sunday at Lambeau. Gil, why does Green Bay win this game on Sunday?
Green Bay wins this game on Sunday in part because they establish the run, and that, I think, will help. I think you establish the run on offense and stop the run on defense, and that's how you win this football game primarily.
I think the Packers win this game because the Lions will not be as sharp as we're used to seeing the last couple of years, and the Packers get the Lions at the right time. Their first game with 2 brand new coordinators. Dan Campbell doesn't call plays on either side of the football. He doesn't. He is a CEO. He lets his coordinators do the work. Maybe Jim Morton, the new OC for the Lions, and Kelvin Shepard, the new DC for on the defensive side of the ball for Detroit. Maybe they have some first game struggles and they have some growing pains as first time coordinators. So I think that could be an instant impact right away. And if Micah Parsons, if he can make an immediate impact with a couple plays on Sunday, that'd be pretty big for the Packers. Why does Green Bay lose?
Can't lose the turnover battle in a game like this, so I'll definitely start with that. And if they can't stop the run, I mean, if the Packers cannot stop the run, it makes life so much easier for Jared Goff. And I would be very concerned. If Detroit goes over 150 yards on the ground, Green Bay's in trouble.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say the loss of Kenny Clark seems to be a massive impact if Green Bay does lose this game. And then also, remember, Jordan Love didn't have a lot of time in training camp with the wide receivers because the wide receivers were banged up. Jordan Love had the thumb injury that he had surgery on. Offense looks essentially, especially the passing game, looks out of sync. It looks like they didn't have a lot of time in training camp, and that could be a factor if the Packers do lose, where things just aren't quite right at this time of the year or where they should be. But Gil, with that being said, what is your prediction for Sunday?
This game's going to be close. This game is going to go down to the wire. I think the Packers will find a way to win it. I think Micah Parsons will make a play at the end of this game to preserve a 33-31 win for the Packers.
Whew, I'm going to be sweating, Gil. I'm going to be sweating. If I feel like I'm going to be sweating regardless. I'm my father's son. I sweat all the time. So that's just the way it goes for me. I do think this game is going to be close. I think it's going to be lower scoring, though, because week one in the NFL, with these teams, they play so little in the preseason these days. And week one is really an extension of the preseason, and it's sloppy. I think it's going to be a sloppy game, but the Packers, I think they catch the Lions at the right time. I really think that the new coordinators of Detroit, I think that plays in huge favor of the Packers. And I think the Packers finally get a win against the Lions at Lambeau, 24-20. It'd be their first win at Lambeau against Detroit since the 2021 season. Let's hope they make it happen, Gil.
Looking forward to it. Can't wait. I can't believe it. The wait is almost over.
I'm looking forward to it. We've been waiting since they lost in mid-January to the Philadelphia Eagles in the first round of the playoffs. Also, one more additional note. On Thursday, the Packers and punter Daniel Whelan agreed to a contract extension. Their punter's locked up. Their kicker Brandon McManus is locked up. They also extended long snapper Matt Orzech a few weeks ago. Gil, it's nice not to worry about this group for once going forward.
Yeah, if only we could figure out our return game, I'd be very happy.
Yeah, for sure. Me too. And Gil, before we wrap up this episode, we get some trivia and everything. What articles do you have coming up on Packers Post and Cheesehead TV?
Well, over on the Packers Post, I talk about Matthew Golden making his debut, what we can expect from him, what his teammates and coaches are saying about him. And over on Cheesehead TV, I ask whether or not this is the big breakout season for Jordan Love.
Is Matthew Golden going to get the most targets for the receivers on Sunday?
I think he will either get it or be within one target of the leader.
I think he's going to be the leader at receiver specifically. I don't know. I could see Matt LaFleur definitely feeding the tight ends quite a bit.
Yes.
But with the Jaden Reed injury, I think Matthew Golden's going to get some chances and opportunities on Sunday, and I'm looking forward to seeing the new toy on the Packers offense essentially. Gil, you ready for some trivia?
I am ready for some trivia.
All right. Well, a lot of eyeballs on Sunday will hopefully be on the Packers' new defensive toy, and that's Micah Parsons. Parsons' former head coach in Dallas, Mike McCarthy. You may know that name if you're a Packer fan. He was a Super Bowl champion with the Packers back in 2010. There was also one notable prior Packer connection who was also connected to Parsons' pass. Gil, which former coach of Micah Parsons was previously a Packers wide receiver coach?
Which former coach?
It's a notable coach.
It's an assistant coach.
He was an assistant for the Packers. I'm not going to confirm or deny if he's an assistant right now in football.
Okay. That doesn't help a lot, but
I will tell you that Micah Parsons, remember, first round pick out of Penn State University.
Right. Oh, so you're saying it's a college coach?
Am I?
I think you are.
You'll remember your life depends on getting this answer right.
Oh, well, aren't we all in trouble then? Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Okay.
I would say he's the face of Penn State football right now, and has been for probably the last 11 years.
The face of Penn State football right now.
The CEO of the football program.
I'm gonna draw a blank right now.
Well, it's the Penn State head football coach, James Franklin.
James Franklin, yeah.
And that's who it is. So I think you knew it was the Penn State head football coach. I don't know if you're probably the mind was getting a little twisted where it's like, who's the head coach?
Yeah.
So Franklin was the Packers wide receiver coach during the 2005 season under the direction of former head coach Mike Sherman. And that was Franklin's lone season on the Packers coaching staff, as Sherman and most of his staff were canned following a 4-12 season. Franklin has been the head coach at Penn State since 2014, and Parsons played at Penn State in 2018 and 2019 before sitting out the 2020 season due to the COVID pandemic. So there you go. James Franklin was formerly a Packers wide receiver coach before he went on to Vanderbilt to coach for a little bit, and now at Penn State for the last decade plus. Lions and Packers again at Lambeau Field. They open the season on Sunday. That's September 7th? Yeah, September 7th. Sunday, September 7th, 3:25 p.m. Central Time is kickoff, or 4:25 if you're out in New York by Gill, 2:25 if you're in the mountains, 1:25 if you're on the West Coast. I think what is that? 9:25 a.m. if you're in the great state of Hawaii and the Hawaiian Islands, if you're swimming with the mermaids and the turtles and everything like that. But anyways, Lions Packers on Sunday. Finally, a season opener at Lambeau Field in Matt LaFleur's time. Let's make it count, Packers. Let's make it count.
Yeah, can't wait for this one. And of course, we will be back on Tuesday next week to preview next week's game against the Washington Commanders. So make sure you make note of the time difference because the Packers have a Thursday night game. Well,
love, folks.
Yeah, that's it. That will do it for us today. We'll be right back here next week. Follow us on Twitter at Packers and at Sean to stay up to date on all things Packers or to ask us questions. Or you can email us at gbpackersean@gmail.com. Make sure you're subscribed to Packers Talk on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Big thanks to PackersTalk.com for powering our show. Thank you for listening. Until next time, go Pack Go!
Go Pack Go!